Surround yourself with like-minded people. It doesn't have to be the same business, just another entrepreneur or business owner. You can help each other out.
Hello and welcome everyone to the first ever live recording of the Life, Language, and Lyrics with Laina podcast. This is the third season, and just want to give a little bit of background. I started this podcast just as a hobby because I found that I was a little shy in front of a camera, and I wanted to work on my communication skills. So I started this podcast as a way to do different conversations and interact with different types of people. And then it just became so fun that I just kept doing it. And now I'm in the third season. And so this evening, I am not actually hosting the podcast. We have the lovely Miss Mia Wilson, who is going to be our host, and she will be asking Toni and I all of the questions this evening.
Thank you so much, Elena. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to host. And so I want to get started with the life portion and introduce Toni and Elena. I know we did have a moment earlier with our few guests that we had, but I just want to go over a bit about you guys, who you are, where you're from, the name of your business, and maybe get into a little bit of how you got started.
Okay, so I will go first. So the name of my business is Perris Creations by Toni, and I'm Toni. My name is also Tanya. My government name is Tanya, but my family and friends call me Toni. And I got that nickname from my grandfather, which is important. That's my maternal grandfather. It's important because that is where I get the name for my business from. His name was Perri. My maternal grandfather had a 67-acre land, had 67 acres of land in Virginia, rural Virginia. And so my mom and her siblings grew up on that land, and they had a working farm. They made everything from scratch. The only thing that they had to go to the store for were things like sugar and stuff like that. Anything else, it was the garden. They had pigs, livestock, chickens, cows, everything. And they literally were self-contained. So you know how they talk about homesteaders now? That was them back then. And I mean, they made their own furniture, clothes, everything. My parents moved up here to Washington, D.C. when I was 2 years old. So really, all I know is Washington, D.C. But we would go and visit to Virginia all the time to visit my grandparents, my grandfather passed away when I was 10 years old, and my grandmother passed away when I was 30. So I had her a little bit longer, but I was able to visit down there up until I was 30 years old, pretty much. And when I was younger, I always, I felt like, oh, this is so, I don't know, weird down here. They do things so weird and all of that. I didn't appreciate the natural, slow life and, everything that was so clean. I didn't appreciate that. So as I grew up, of course, my mother, even though we lived up here, she made all of her food from scratch. She only bought seasonal foods. She always had a garden in our backyard. And I mean, I used to, even cakes, I never had a box cake until I was out on my own. So when I would go to school, she made my lunches every day, and I had my little bag lunch and everything. And I'm looking at everyone else eating, the lunch from the school. And I was, I want to eat that lunch, and she just, looked at me and laughed. So when I moved out on my own, I started to try new things that I hadn't been able to try when I was living at home, new products, hair products, skincare products. And I started to, break out and have these reactions and didn't know why. Well, it was because my skin and my body wasn't used to that. I was used to clean products. So basically, I named the company Perri's Creations by Toni to pay honor to my grandfather who started everything and my mom who continued that legacy. And I'm trying to pass it on to my kids. And I also just, because of the things that happened to me, my allergic reactions and things like that, I started to make my own products just for myself. And I said, when I have kids, I will never use anything that's not good for them on them. I'm going to start them out the right way. And so that's what I did. And then over the years, I said, well, I don't always want to smell like the shea nut, right? I like Bath and Body Works smells, right? So I wanted to combine the two and marry them. And so that's what I've tried to do with my products. So really my product line is made for people like me who want to smell good, but also want to use products that don't have harsh ingredients, right? That you can pronounce what's in them. And also I customize. So if you tell me that you have an allergy, say for instance, you have an allergy to, I don't know, shea butter, I can leave that out because my butters contain 3 different butters. So I can leave shea butter out and just make the butter with mango or kokum. And I try to stay away from things that may cause allergies to most people. So thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing. I'm sure a lot of people in the audience can relate to specific issues from the environment or just using things like chemicals that big industries like to put in their products. So I hope you guys could take something away from that or just can relate in any sense. And we're going to go ahead to Laina and answer the same question.
Okay, so my name is Laina. My business name is Lay's Rum Cakes. I should also say I'm from Texas. And so my business started, I really one day, like back in 2017, was like, I really just want some rum cake. Rum cake was just on my mind. And so I was like, I'm just going to get all the stuff to make it. And I made the cake. It was amazing. And then I started taking it to like friends and families events. And then I started getting requests for it. And people started saying, maybe you should sell these. And I was like, nah, because I had no intention on becoming a baker. And then the idea of the business just kept like knocking and pulling at me. And so I think in 2019, I was just like, let me just put it out there on social media and see what happens. And people just started making orders just from social media. And so I started out with 2 flavors, my original and my pina colada, which is like a family recipe. And then eventually now I'm at like 7 flavors. I do a lot of trying of new things. I now make the sopapilla cheesecake like y'all tried tonight, brownies, peach cobblers, all different types of things. The name of my business, Lay, is short for Laina. I don't really go by Lay, but it flows really well. And it also has a little bit of wordplay to it because my logo is a plumeria flower, which is from Hawaii. So, you get Lays in Hawaii. And the rum cakes are not from Hawaii, but that's a place that's very special to my heart. So that's pretty much how my business came to be.
Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing. I feel like I can relate, especially to feeling like I'm going down a different path in life. And then all of a sudden, your true passion comes about later on in life, regardless on your age or whatever you had anticipated for your life. You just never know where life will take you next. And let's head on to the next question. I believe that both of you guys are not full-time entrepreneurs. So if you guys can touch on that a little bit and let us know what you guys do for your full-time job.
Yes, so my full-time job is that I am professor and department chair of communication sciences and disorders, which is speech language pathology at Howard. So that's what I do full time. And then I have the cake business and this podcast.
So I am an auditor for the federal government. I've been doing that since I was 20. but I've always had a love for performing arts and creative spaces. So I danced, I acted. My original major was theater arts management. So I kind of fell into accounting and auditing, but I always had a passion for the creative world. And so my business is the creative side of me, being able to do that, work in that creative space.
And let's discuss how did you come about to find your passion within your business, just beyond your connections to starting your business, whether it's the background, like, for example, from your grandfather, or whether it was you just going about a whim. Where do you find the passion when you're making products, making rum cakes, or anything like that?
So again, my initial passion was just, I wanted to make products that I loved, that was good for my skin, that I could trust, right? And I knew what I was putting in the products. And finding the passion, I feel like I'm the perfect person to do what I'm doing because I can relate. I'm that person that I'm making the products for, right? And just a little story. A couple of years ago, I had a really, really severe allergic reaction to hair dye. I no longer dye my hair. But leading up to that, I'd had other allergic reactions from products, hair products, skincare products, or just in nature, right? But they weren't very severe, but apparently it was leading up to something, right? And so I wanted to dye my hair because I was going to New York with some girlfriends, which one is here today for her birthday. And I started getting gray right here. And so I dyed my hair, and over the weekend, I kept having problems, right? Get back home and my face swelled up, right? My whole head and face and everything. To make a long story short, I developed a sensitivity to everything after that. I could not use regular shampoo or anything for like 2 years after that. I developed a staph infection. I mean, this was bad. And the doctor said, don't put anything else on your hair, be all natural. And because I was so sensitized to that allergic reaction, my skin became ultra sensitive. So I feel like my life experience, the way that I was raised, the way that I came into the world, my parents, my grandparents, led me to this passion, led me to this, so that's what I would say about my business, my passion.
So as far as passion, there was this one night where I was very stressed out from work. I don't remember what was happening that day, what it was, but I was not in a good space. But I had an order to do for somebody at the job. And I was baking, and this was the first time that I got an order to kind of do some decorated things. I was decorating the cake boxes, the little mini ones. And as the night went on and I'm listening to music and I'm just in my zone, I started realizing that my all of the anxious feelings I had was coming down. And I was like, that's why I'm doing this. This is my stress relief. And so that was the first thing. But as far as the passion, what I find is that no matter how tired I am and how in pain, because baking is also very painful because you stand on your feet for hours, no matter how that feels, I still love doing it. And then when I get the finished product, I'm always like, especially now that I'm decorating cakes, every time I finish a cake, I'm in my kitchen literally like, I cannot wait for this person to see this cake the next day. And so that part is where I know that it's something I'm supposed to be doing, but I also know that I'm very passionate about it.
All right, thank you guys both for sharing that. I know we just talked about you guys' full-time jobs, and we all have to pursue some form of getting money and retirement. So finding a passion in which you can, stress relief, or you can find people that relate to your conditions or whatever is amazing. So we know what you guys love about your own business and what you find your passion in, but tell us a little bit about what other people love about your products or your cakes.
Okay. So I think the biggest compliment for me is when people tell me that my cakes remind them of like their grandmother's cake or their mother's cake. I love bringing people joy, and the fact that I can do that just with something that they ate. So that's what most people, I think, love the most.
And so to piggyback off of that, I love Elena's cakes. They remind me of my mother's cakes. So that when I first, had a bite of her cake, I said, "Oh my gosh." I said, I'm a very big critic of, my mother was a baker too. So the fact that her cake had me wowed, I was like, yeah, you got something here. So you're welcome. So what makes me happy about my products with other people, what I love to hear is when they say, I've been using your products and my skin has never felt better. Or, my skin feels smooth and it's not dry. Or, for people who have sensitivities, I don't get headaches anymore because, your fragrances are, good and they're not laden with formaldehyde or whatever, right? And so, I always loved my products, but it just makes me feel so good when other people tell me how much they love it, when they tell me that it worked for whatever it is that they wanted it to be used for, whether that's just, oh, I have dry skin, because of course I can't make any medical claims or anything like that. Just the fact that if you're using my soap, it's cleaning your skin and okay, I can read the ingredients. I know what these ingredients are. That warms my heart because I feel like I'm doing something that I wanted for myself. And I didn't find a space like that for myself, and I also want to add a little bit of luxury, affordable luxury into people's lives. So if you pay attention to my packaging and things like that, and I'm very much a perfectionist. So I really want people to have an experience with my products. And so that's definitely what makes me happy about it.
And then I just want to ask, have there been any other times where you felt fearful about launching your business, starting your business, attending an event, or anything in regards to fear and facing those fears?
Perfectionist. So I'm always my biggest critic. I'm always questioning myself about what I'm doing. I think a little bit of that is coming from me being an auditor too, because I'm always question, trust but verify, just kind of that thinking. So I would say the biggest challenge for me was putting myself out there. I knew that, I'm using good products for myself and my family, but now I'm putting it out there for others, right? So just getting out of my own way and not being so much in my head. When I first started the business, I wanted to have everything perfect. I wanted things to be a certain way. And so I got incorporated in March of 2021. I didn't launch my website until November of that year because I was just like, no, I'm not ready yet, so I tested, my products for several months, which I do anyways. But I sent out Google Docs to people, tell me, what do you think about the texture, the scent, how does it feel? Did it last? And I just kept renumerating or ruminating over things over and over. And right now, I think I've had the same formulation for my body butter now for 2.5 years, but it took me 14 iterations because I was determined it was going to be perfect. It was going to do what I wanted it to do. So that's the biggest challenge for me, is getting out of my way, not thinking that I have to have things perfect, that it's okay to grow as you go. You can. And so now what I'm doing is constantly improving my products, constantly improving my brand, and constantly improving myself and giving myself grace.
That was good. We probably have a lot of similarities in that area. So for myself, fear is just something that I've been working on the past, probably my whole life, to be honest. But I think being afraid to go bigger. So I would always be happy and content with just, let me just sell my things on my website, put it on social media. And then I started getting requests to do markets and events. And I was like, I can't do that. How am I going to put all that stuff in my car? And how am I going to do this? And then I realized, like, you just got to do it and then figure it out along the way. And then the other fear that I had was that I couldn't do more things while I was still doing my full-time job. And so I would not take on too many events or too many orders because I didn't want to have too much conflict, or I thought I was going to be too tired. But this year, I made a promise to myself that I was going to just push past no matter what. And it actually helped me become more organized. And I've been seeing a lot of growth happen at the same time.
That's amazing. So I do want to give a little bit more advice to you guys. I know we talked about earlier whether you guys were small business owners or whether you were interested or anything like that. But for those of you who haven't taken that step and pushed past your fears or anything like that, do you have any advice for any of the people in the audience, in here or online, in addition to discussing whether it's like fearing like maybe I'm not as good as competitors, or comparing yourself to others, even just beyond the space that you're in, the industry or anything like that? Do you have any advice?
Yeah, so man, I probably could talk all day, but I think what I'll say for today is actually, Toni said this to me today. Trust your skills, trust yourself. I had a decorated cake that I knew it was pretty, but I was giving it to a person who was an actual artist. And so I didn't know how I felt about that. And she loved it, right? And I think we hold ourselves back so much because of what we tell ourselves in our head. And so I think learning how to talk to yourself in a much more nice and positive way can also help you to be able to feel confident and pushing forward. And another thing too is finding like-minded people, because I really felt like when I met Toni and the other business owners that come to the market that we do here at DC Creative Institute, that really also gave me a big push because we were all talking about the same things. We were all encouraging each other all the time.
Yes, ditto. I get encouragement. I would say if you are wanting to start a business, just do it. Just do it. Start. It's nothing to say that you can't improve and change over time. But again, like Laina said, surround yourself with like-minded people. It doesn't have to be the same business, just another entrepreneur or business owner. You can help each other out. I also have a huge fear of social media. Like I'm Gen X. I am not big on, I use it, but I was not used to using it to promote, to advertise, things like that. I just would go on there to pass the time and scroll, right? Well, now I have to promote my business. And that's a fear of mine. And so I often ask Laina, how do you do this? How do you do a boomerang? How do you do, and she will help me. And it's, it's a comfort to know that there are other people who I can reach out to that are going through the same things. And in terms of competition, there's room for everybody. Even if, I have friends who also sell some of the same products that I sell. And we talk about that because they're still different. Their ingredients are not exactly the same as mine. And even if they were, their technique is different than mine, or their fragrances are different than mine, so there's room for everyone. There's no competition there, and we support each other. So I would just say, don't let your self-talk, as Laina said, hold you back. And as I was talking to her today, I was talking to myself as well, because I'm the same way. I'm always second guessing, okay, I wonder if this is going to be nice. And, I have decided that this year I was going to put myself out there. I was really going to do more markets and events, as Laina has said. And I've been very busy. I've been very happy with the way that my business has grown. And I know that it will grow even more. It will grow organically, but it will grow even more. So I'm excited about it.
All right, that's amazing. I hope that this has touched maybe your inner child or what you felt like you were connected to when you were younger and bring about that, encouragement to actually get started, just push past that. I know I have experienced that in this past year. I want you guys to tell me a little bit about a song or song lyrics that motivate you, keep you pushing to get through tough times, help you relax, or what represents you when you're at your best.
Okay, so I would say the song that stands out to me the most right now at this stage of my life, because, even when you're living life and you have a business, you have a full-time job, you have family, you have kids, I have a husband, life's, right? Okay. And you're trying to balance everything, as Elena said, and that was a fear of mine too. So I always fall back to this song, and it's called God, You Are Good, right? And it's by Todd Galbraith. And it just says, you're good and you're always good. And I can rest in that. I can be assured that I'm going to be okay no matter what. So I always put that song on when I'm having a bad day, or if I'm having one of those days where I have a lot of anxiousness, I'll put that song on, and it always lightens my mood. So I would just encourage everyone, find yourself a song. I love music or whatever, but find yourself something, whether it be a song, whether it's a space outside, get outside, take a walk, meditate, yoga, something that helps you to, recenter and get out of that negative headspace.
All right, and Elena, do you have any songs that best represent you when you're feeling at your best, or any song lyrics?
When I'm at my best, so the song that I really like this year is called Float by Janelle Monáe. Mm-hmm. And it's like a very empowering song, because I'm not going to sing it because I can't sing, but she basically in the chorus talks about how she used to walk into the room with her head down, but now she floats into the room. And I feel like that's where I am right now in my life.
And Toni, do you have any songs that when you're feeling at your best, not necessarily when you're anxious or when you're having a bad day?
Yes. So when I'm feeling my best, Jill Scott song, Living My Life Like It's Golden. That is one of my anthems. And that's what I just aspire to do all the time, is live my life like it's golden. We only have the one life. And, life flies by so fast. You have to appreciate every single moment and the people who are in it that you love. And I want to have more joy about it. And I feel like when you have more joy inside, it radiates out to others as well. And then that multiplies, right? And so then you are doing the same. You're having that energy, and the people around you have that energy, and just multiplying and multiplying. So, yeah.
All right, and then last question about songs. I think, Toni, you touched on this, but Elena, what's the song that you like to listen to that helps you relax?
When I like to relax. So there's an artist named Peter Collins. I don't know if everyone's familiar with him, but his voice is, they call him like an angel. He has this angelic voice, and it sounds almost like he's playing a flute, but he's singing. And his songs I consider them to be like love songs that you could share with like a romantic partner, but it also can be like love songs to God in a sense. And so I listen to those a lot when I need to relax. I actually use one of his songs called You've Got This, and I play that at the beginning of my classes for my students.
All right, nice. I know a lot of people love to listen to music to heal them or just to relax, wind down, uplift themselves. And then furthermore, do you guys have any affirmations, quotes that you can recite, or maybe scriptures or anything like that, just to affirm the audience or anybody who needs that, regardless of entrepreneurship?
Yes. I think I had put most of it in my phone, which which I don't have on me. Well, a quote that I really like is one. It actually goes back to thinking about competition, but it says, "If you are captivated by your purpose, you won't be distracted by comparison." So if you're focused on what it is you're meant to do, then you can't be worried about everyone else. Another, is it a scripture or was it? There's there's a scripture. Actually, it's just one of the things I've been focusing on this year, which has helped me in all of my spaces, was the fruits of the spirit. It's in Galatians, but I can't remember the exact chapter. But it just talks about how, we should be peaceful and be kind and be gentle and be selfless. I can't remember all of the fruits of spirit off the top of my head right now, but focusing on that has also helped me a lot in staying calm, but also in how I interact with other people, which has really helped a lot of my relationships, whether it's family, platonic, whatever.
Nice. So I would say a quote that I always think about, and it was actually my mom's favorite one. It's the Serenity Prayer. Basically, it's accept the things that you cannot change the things that you can, right? And, don't worry about the rest of it. And so I paraphrase that, but you get the gist of it, right? Again, when you're a person that is always striving to, perfect things or do things a certain way, it can be frustrating and you can hold yourself back a lot. And so I'm really trying to let go of that. So that is the quote that I always try to keep in my mind. And then in terms of a scripture, I wrote it down because I didn't want to forget. And I had several, but this is the one that stuck out to me. So it's Psalms 34, verses 4-5. It says, I sought the Lord and he answered me. He delivered me from all my fears. Those who look to him are radiant. Their faces are never covered with shame. So I keep thinking about that, not being fearful. And if I'm not fearful and I'm walking in my purpose, and doing the things that I know that I should be doing, then I'm never ashamed. No matter if things don't go right, if they don't go exactly as I want them to go, that's okay. It is okay. And the same grace that I extend to everybody else, I can do that for me, right? I need to do that for me as well. I need to take care of me and be good to me just like I am to others.
Something to that real quick. I did want to say just one more thing that I think is just so important, and it's the key to life. Just breathe. Just breathe. If you feel yourself feeling fearful, just take a moment and count and breathe. Okay.
All right. Thank you guys for the advice, scriptures, song lyrics, and quotes and everything like that. I did want to reach out to the audience to see if you guys had any questions, any comments on anything, anything you'd like to share. Anybody?
Questions for us?
I don't have a question, but I want to say congratulations. You guys have done an amazing job. I love each product. I love your products. I love your cake. And I'm in the field also to empower another women because we are our highest criticism. I don't know if I say that right.
Yes.
So I want to say keep doing it, and because the world needs more woman leadership.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. But yeah, that pretty much wraps up everything. This is Elena's podcast, so I will let you close your podcast out.
Yeah. So if you want to find the podcast, it is called Life, Language, and Lyrics, and it is on YouTube. I also have an Instagram page. It's life.language.lyrics. You follow me. My podcast focuses on living in your purpose and in your passion. So I've had some really, really great interviews on there as well. Right. And I think you already gave a lot of information about where we are, but for the purpose of the YouTube, you can find Lay's Rum Cakes, LAIS Rum Cakes, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I don't use the TikTok that much though. And my website is www.laysrumcakes.com.
Yes, and my Instagram is Perris, Perris, and underscore creations. And Facebook is Perris Creations by Toni, LLC. I do have a TikTok page. I'm not very active on there yet. So, in the new year, I'm going to get active there. So, and my website is Perris, Perris, creations.com.
All right, wonderful. Let's give it up for our ladies. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.